good day, everyone. We have another exciting episode of WTF Walk the Floors. Welcome back. I'm Stephanie Leger, Chief Excellence Officer of First Rate Hospitality, and we have my co-host, Michele Kline. Hi, Michele.
Hi, Stephanie. How are you? Hi, everyone. I'm Michele Kline with Kline Hospitality, and we have someone really special with us today, Sarah T from UTip. Sarah, we want to hear everything about your technology. We're getting ready to go to HITEC next week. For those who are unfamiliar with HITEC, it is the largest and most exciting technology conference and exposition in the world of hospitality. And we're going to be visiting and talking to different operators and talking to different vendors and looking at the different various types of technology that are going to be presented there. But UTip is very special to us. So not only we're going to be going live from the UTip booth, but it is super exciting because Stephanie and I are very in tune with the housekeeping world. And UTip is like an angel from above for housekeeping. So Sarah, tell us a little bit about who you are, who is UTip, why UTip, how UTip was born, and then we'll go into you sharing some of those pain points or funny mouth opening stories that UTip can eliminate. Go for it, Sarah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's awesome to be here, and I'm so excited about next week as well, and going to HITEC with you guys and seeing everybody there. Because you're right, Michelle, it really is the largest show of the year. Some people even call it the Super Bowl of hospitality technology. But anyway, it really is. And this year is extra special because it's our 50th anniversary of having this conference go on. And so they're going to have a big opening party at SeaWorld and all that. So that should be a lot of fun. But anyway, thank you again for having me on the show. I'm Sarah T with UTip. But and we are a digital tipping solution. We have been around for almost 2 years now. We actually started during COVID. Prior to starting UTip, I was with, I've always been in hospitality operations and hospitality technology. So UTip is a enterprise digital tipping solution. And what we solve is the discretionary tipping problem. So think valet parking and bell services, concierge, housekeeping, all those times when you would tip for service, for great service, but typically you would do it in cash. So now that more and more of the world has gone cashless and everybody is just using their phone for payments, we have developed at UTip a way for guests to still be able to recognize our staff for great service by scanning a QR code or tapping on a link to go to the UTip web app and be able to leave those tips.
That's pretty cool. Fantastic. Because in reality, I mean, Stephanie, I'm sure you've seen this too. We see less and less and less tipping out there, right? Mm-hmm. And when we go into the whole recruiting process, we realize that we can't really sell that as a benefit anymore. So this would be a fantastic solution to have at any property so that we can start reinjecting that extra piece of revenue for our team members. That's awesome. Yep, and it's great for the guest because now the guest doesn't have to worry about carrying cash or having to find cash or having to find change.
Yeah, it's really win-win for everybody, all parties involved, right? The guests, as you mentioned, Michelle, even the operators, the business, because now that it's digital, there's records of it. You can see the data, that you can have insights and analytics to tell. Because if you think about it, tipping is really a key performance indicator for great service. Mm-hmm. And especially if it's discretionary, where the guest has the option to do it or not. It's not like it's on a bill, like at a restaurant or something like that. This is totally discretionary. So it's a great, way to be able to measure that guest satisfaction, guest experience. And then obviously for the tip worker themselves, whether they're a bellman or a housekeeping room attendant or a valet attendant. It's great for them because think about all those times that they've been missing out on tips because of us going cashless. You know, amp that up with us going through COVID, you know, where cash was like icky, it still is icky. But so, you know, this is really helping that. Like I said, we've been around for almost 2 years. We started in the middle of COVID. And the way we started was me and my co-founders, we were all on the bench, like most of us were during COVID, either furloughed or, you know, whatever the case was. And so we had some time on our hands to be thinking about stuff. And I remember that one of my mentors actually had posted something on LinkedIn saying, you know, we're all kind of, what is it called? Like, you know, kind of on idle mode right now, right?
Standing by.
Yeah, exactly. But yet we're all like brilliant and have great ideas. How can we, you know, think about solving some of the problems that are in hospitality right now that are being affected because of COVID? How can we, you know, do some things to help solve that? So originally I was thinking gig working because operators all these folks that are being furloughed or let go, they're going to gig working, right? They're going to, you know, pick up driving for Uber or Instacart. I was living in Chicago at the time, and there was a wait list for Instacart drivers. So we were losing labor for hospitality to those jobs, to Amazon, $25 plus an hour, you know. And it wasn't by choice at first, right? Because they were being furloughed. We didn't have the business to support it. So what I was thinking is, so these hotels were running skeleton crews, and, you know, the GMs, operators were checking guests in, and, you know, we were hearing all this stuff. But then, like, you'd have these spikes, you know, when we're starting to, like, holidays or seasons and stuff like that we were seeing some of these spikes. And then, you know, we didn't have the staff to be able to help accommodate that. So, you know, people were blocking off rooms because they just didn't have the staff. I think some of them were still doing that. Like it was, originally I was thinking, you know, gig working, how can we do what they're doing, or take what they're doing and apply some of those things to our industry to make it more appealing too. So originally it was around that gig working thing of being able to, like, you know, apply that there. But then the payment part came about, right? Because a lot of these folks are tipped workers. So if they're just going to pick up a couple rooms or going to come work, you know, work this event, you know, like banquet staff or something like that, how are they getting paid? Because they're not on the payroll, right? And then how are they getting tipped and stuff too? Because they're tipped roles. So that stuff started coming up, and my co-founders, sorry, I'm just putting the charger in. My co-founders have a background in fintech. They come from the world of online brokerage and have developed and managed great products in that side of the industry. So they don't have any hospitality industry, but we're always intrigued with it. So we came together to develop UTIP.
That's wonderful.
That's great.
And Sarah, you do have a group. The backbone of the organization is all formed by hoteliers, right? Anyone who has been in the hospitality industry, you kind of have handpicked and selected your team to be able to provide that extra level of comprehension of the problem and certain level of comfort to your prospective client as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because, well, you know, having been in the hospitality industry, having grown up in it, you know, I can understand the problem. But at the same time, now being on like the supplier, vendor, you know, technology provider side of the business, I'm, you know, much more removed from that. So it was really interesting to go into almost 2 years ago into this thinking that we're solving the problem of, being able to solve the problem of cash going away and people still being able to tip. And we were thinking more from just a money standpoint, right? Like being able to do that. But now, fast forward almost 2 years, we have gotten deep into the problems. It's like an onion. You're just peeling back all these layers, and it's like, oh my gosh, all these things have been happening. Oh my gosh, like we're really uncovering some things, and it's just amazing how UTIP or our technology is really touching all different aspects. From the guest satisfaction piece and experiences to being able to measure the quality of a room, because housekeeping just happens to be the most popular use case of UTIP right now. And for housekeeping, if you think about it, it's truly a contactless experience and gratuity, because seldomly will the guest interact with their housekeeping room attendant, right? So the guests that would leave a tip for housekeeping, they're really making that decision based on how comfortable and clean they feel that their stay was, right? So there's a lot that you can tell from the UTIP data. And so it's really interesting there. We've had some customers say, like, it's brought more awareness to the rooms that they need to renovate. They've always known that those were.
Well, that's your WTF moment. Do tell.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, not to name any names. We're not going to name any names, but the report, when we showed the report for the first time to this customer on, the tipping data for the month and the activity, and they could see, who received the tip, because with UTIP, you can have the tips assigned however you want, to the room attendant that serviced the room, on the due out, on the arrival or the departure, all those different things you can set up with that. But the data, like when the operators, the GMs, how rooms director and stuff was looking at it, they weren't surprised. They weren't surprised to see some of their best performers that received the most tips happen to also be some of the best performers in getting their cleanliness scores and, seniority maybe, or different things like that. And also the rooms, it was just, plain as day that the renovated rooms were the ones getting the tips.
So you're basically telling us and everybody in the housekeeping world that maintenance does affect their tips.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I guess I would think about that, because if a towel hook or a towel bar is not present, and you're like, oh, where am I going to hang this towel? I guess I'm going to put it on the back of the chair. Thank goodness there's a little desk and a chair I can hang it on. But that's my housekeeping's fault.
Yeah,
it's not. No one knows that. And housekeeping always hit. Always. Am I right, Stephanie?
Yes, no, absolutely. I'm thinking also too, just on the business side. So now from the guests, I've been traveling a lot, and I'm here at the property most of the time. Convention and corporate is coming back faster than what we thought was great. And then here there, the hotel may have an ATM, but the surcharges on the ATM, it's like $10 to take out $20 to being able to tip, and you don't see an ATM from the time you leave your house to the airport to the hotel, depending of where you're going. So it's not even like you really have an option even to get cash as well.
Yeah. So from the guest experience standpoint, that's, so many of us have been there and felt bad or felt guilty because we are also from the industry and know that that's a really big part of your livelihood. Right. So it's no wonder that we have been, I truly think that this issue of the discretionary tips and cash and stuff has a lot to do with why people have left those roles or left the industry and stuff. But, absolutely, from the guest experience standpoint. And then, going back to Michèle's point about handpicking people to this team. And, it is true. We have a team member, an advisor actually, that is on our team. She came inbound, through the website or called us and stuff. And she's not from hospitality. She's not at all. She's actually from the insurance world, but she is so passionate about this. She hates when she can't tip, and she travels often, and it's just like such a pervasive problem for her. And she will go she'll go, out of her way to go find an ATM to go get that money. She's a tipper. She's great. And there are so many of us and her out there that really want to help solve this problem too. So it's great to be able to hear it from a guest perspective, or, a tipper perspective. And then also, us operators, or us, technology solution providers that are all have that common goal of we want to help this problem. And by helping this problem, it's all just good stuff. So when you tip, you are motivating somebody. You are supporting them because you're giving them money, but you're motivating them. You're recognizing them, and by doing that, you're feeling good too, because you just had a great experience, right? People pay for experiences, and yeah. And then obviously the business benefits, because the business has happy customers and engaged employees. It's, we're all aligned in the message here. So it's been really fun to be able to really get to the roots of the problems.
Yeah,
that's so great.
Absolutely.
Stephanie, what is one problem that you think that this can solve from a WTF perspective? I am thinking of one.
Well, I mean, we're talking about with the housekeepers, definitely being able to motivate. Also, too, from a WTF moment with the housekeepers, is that seeing first thing in the morning, they go and check their rooms to seeing if they get the tips. And then that pretty much aligns how the rest of their day is going to be. And unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, they'll see that they didn't receive as many tips as they thought, or no tips at all. And the first thing they automatically assume is someone else went into the room and stole their tip.
You didn't give me time to give you a drum roll. That's exactly what I was thinking. They quarrel with the house attendants on Sunday, heavy checkout day, because they don't want anyone stripping their rooms.
Yeah.
How does no one help stripping your rooms? You have all these checkouts, like your entire board is filled with checkouts. You don't want anyone stepping into your room before. Why? Because there is a risk that they may take your tip. Yes.
So is that why rooms aren't ready yet by 3?
Maybe I know reasons too.
Yes. And then this doesn't. Yeah, and this doesn't stop at, say, okay, 10 a.m., they've already checked all their rooms. No, this now continues on until Monday as well. If still talking about, yesterday that guest was here for 7 days and they told me they were going to leave a tip.
Yeah, it's interesting. We even had a guest leave a $50 tip. This was at some place in the Smoky Mountains, and they have an envelope, like a tipping envelope. So if you wanted to leave cash, you could put it in the envelope, or if you wanted to leave if you didn't have cash, you could just scan the QR code on the envelope. So they did that, but on the back, they wrote the transaction ID number, that they like the confirmation number from the transaction, and said it was $50, and just want to make sure that you receive this, because it's so new. This is something new to people, that they love it. The feedback from guests and tippers have been like, oh, this is so awesome. Why didn't I think of this? Or, they love it, but it's kind of new to them. But if you think about it, it's not really. It's the same technology that is pretty ubiquitous right now. Think of Venmo and PayPal and Zelle and Cash App and stuff, of that quick instant money movement between peers. We're doing that, but we're doing it in an enterprise setting, in operation, so it's safe, secure, and fits with the business.
Yeah. Absolutely. And with technology evolving more and more, now the guests are using their cell phone for their room key. And so they're becoming less and less that they have to carry so many things around when they are moving through the property, that it's like, they're at a large beach resort, and then all of a sudden the person that set up for their umbrellas and chairs was great. And now I'm going to go hike back a mile to go and get my cash to be able to tip. And then I've already had now a few cocktails and I forget to come back. And who was the person? Was it Jake or was it Blake? Or so, yeah, I think this is great that it's also to for the guests to being able to do it instantly as well.
And here's the thing, even if you forget your wallet in your room, to, in order not to have to go back, then you can use your phone, or if whatever the case may be, right? The reality is, and I'm going to say this for all the baby boomers and the potentially traditionalists that are on the other side of this, you never forget your phone. Like, you just don't forget your phone. Yeah, it doesn't happen anymore. So if you're questioning the process, then know that we don't forget our phone. We may forget our ID. We may forget, the keys to the vehicle, but not the phone. So this is a great solution at your fingertips. So this is awesome. Sarah, tell us a little bit about, in brief words, next week during HITEC, where can people find you? And tell us 3 highlights or 2 highlights of how your booth is going to be different than anybody else's.
Oh gosh, this is so awesome. Well, being the Super Bowl of the hospitality technology, this is my 12th year going. And I feel very old now saying that, but like out of 50 years, 12 of them. But, what's that?
Just kidding.
Okay. So anyway, with HITEC this year, this is our 2nd year attending HITEC. Last year, it was our first year, but it was still, because of COVID and travel and stuff, we didn't really have as high of attendance. But this year it's going to be really big. And so we have a much bigger booth this year, but with a bigger booth also comes more fun things that we can do in there. So we have our booth set up into 3 sections. And one of the sections is going to be Michele Kline and Stephanie and some other podcasters with the Hospitality FM group interviewing people live and broadcasting live there. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But the other thing that we have that's going to be really fun is we have a money booth, a cash grab money booth. So people will be able to enter into the booth. Don't worry, we'll have hazmat suits and goggles and hand sanitizer and stuff like that. But they'll get 20 seconds to catch as much cash as they can. And then they have to, take off the gloves and hazmat and all that stuff and count it by hand. Because, when was the last time they did that? It's like a little remembering how much of a pain cash was and how dirty it was and, stuff like that. But anyway, that money that's counted out will be exchanged for a Visa debit card or Visa gift card. And they'll be able to use UTip right then and there with that card to donate that money to the HFTP Foundation for Hospitality Scholarships.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's wonderful.
So if you're going to be at HITEC, so come over to booth 2007. That's where we're all going to be at, and come catch some cash for a cause.
Great.
That's fantastic. And when we post it, we will add all these details to it so people have access to it. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing. This was a great episode.
Great. Thank you.